Hello, everyone. My name is Ned Dennison. I'm the chairperson of the International Marathon Swimming Hall of Fame. We have a guest today from the island of Jersey, Alice Harvey. I ran into her at the recent ceremony we had there, and I remember that she was quite a young crew member on one of my swims. And I thought it'd be interesting to talk to her about growing up in the arms of honor organization, the Jersey Long Distance Swimming Club. So, Alice, tell us a little bit about yourself, your current age, were you a competitive swimmer, what your big marathons have been, and any public goals you want to share with us.
Yeah, hi Ned. So thank you so much for asking to interview me. It's really good to kind of share a bit about me and my story and growing up in Jersey as well. So I'm now 34. I can't remember how old I would have been when I met you first on your first visit to Jersey. But yeah, as you say, I was born and raised in Jersey. I've mostly lived here all my life. I did go to university in the UK. I went to Plymouth, so not far from the sea. Um, I was never a competitive swimmer, always did swimming lessons. My mum was actually president of the Jersey Long Distance Swimming Club back in the 80s. So it's just been part of my life. I've just grown up with it. She continued to swim even after she stepped down as president. But yeah, my childhood was spent going to club swims, hanging around on the slipway, waiting for my mum to finish. I was normally bribed to go with an ice cream, and that is still very much the case. And yeah, eventually I thought, you know what, I'm going down to the swims. I might as well join the club and swim. So that was probably about age 10. And yeah, and that's when I started sea swimming and doing the open water stuff and getting to know more people in the club.
Tell us
Um,
about the big swims you've done.
Yeah, so obviously being on Jersey, our local swim is the Round Island. And I think being in the club from such a young age, you're actually exposed to it and you meet lots of people who come over to do the swim, the locals that are doing the swim. And I remember sort of again standing on the slipway at St. Catherine's, chatting to all these people, and Charlie Gravett, the late great Charlie, who is was inducted into the International Marathon Swimming Hall of Fame. He piloted the Round Jersey swims, obviously with the help of Sally, also inducted, and they they planted the seed really in my head. They said, "Oh, you know, you can do this one day," and that just stuck in my head. And I thought, actually, maybe I could. So I started with Around Jersey, age 15, and it just went on from there really. So once you've done the Round Jersey, you sort of move on to Jersey to France, then the English Channel, and then I went into some of the lake swims up in the Lake District. Yeah, and I've just sort of tried to do as much as I possibly can, sort of far like close to home, further afield. Yeah, so my next goal is coming up this summer, and I'm going to be doing Lake Zurich. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Okay, so you talked a little bit about Sally and Charlie. So age 10, you joined the club. Tell us what it was like. Was it from 10 years old to 70 years old, getting together every day, every week, every month? What did it feel like? What did it, how did it go as a young swimmer?
Yeah, so I mean, it really was a range of ages. At the time, I was probably one of the youngest. There were maybe a couple of others that were slightly younger than me. But then, yeah, right through up to the 60s and 70s, it certainly wasn't as big as it is now. I think that's the major change I've seen sort of nowadays compared to when I first joined the club is open water swimming, long distance. It just seems to have boomed. And I think COVID was probably a factor in that when all the pools were closed and going into the open water in the sea was our only choice. And then from that, we've had lots of new members. Triathlon has really grown in the island as well. And I think a lot of triathletes find swimming the hardest discipline. So they come and join the club and get a lot more confidence, swim with people who are confident in the water. So it's really nice to actually have been with the club throughout that time, see it grow, see it sort of go from success to success. And I know the club was inducted as well into the International Marathon Swimming Hall of Fame, and just being part of that journey. And we celebrated our 50th anniversary last year, which was just a fantastic achievement. And obviously my mum, like I said, was a past president, so the history sort of runs in our family, and it's really nice that she's been part of that for a long time as well, and I've been able to share that swim journey with her too.
Do you remember your first 3K, 5K, 10K swims?
Um, yeah, there was one summer, there was a member, she was also a doctor, she often did our swim medicals, but I think she was training for a swim. I can't remember what she was training for, but she knew I was actually a similar speed to her, and she invited me down to go and just do a long swim with her. So I think it was 2, 3 hours. So that sort of opened my eyes, and had my first taste of whatever carb drink she was drinking as well. Sort of hanging off the slipway at St. Catherine's, and Sally handing me a cup of something, and she said, "Just drink it." Okay. So that's probably my very first memory of a long swim. And I think that would have been maybe 2, 3 years before I did around Jersey myself. So had an idea of what the training entailed.
So at age 10, did you focus on a male or female swimmer age 12 that was doing longer distance and try to reel them in? Did you have heroes that were 16, 17, 18 as a young swimmer? How did you visualize, how did you make that journey?
Yeah, so I think again, like I've said, it's the local people in the island. Obviously, Sally was very well known for all her swims, and then there were a few other people who were maybe a couple of years older than me that were doing swims. Denise Lepenick, who sort of pioneered the round Jersey and Jersey to France swims, and she was the first Jersey lady to go and swim the English Channel as well. So although she doesn't swim anymore, she is still living in the island, and she will always phone you and congratulate you after doing around Jersey or Jersey to France or the English Channel. And yeah, I remember when I was having done my first round Jersey at 15, and she'd obviously found the home number in the phone book and rung me up to congratulate me, which I thought was just really, really lovely. And yeah, she still does that to this day. So I think she's probably the person I would sort of look up to the most for pioneering it. But then you've got the likes of Sally and lots of other members who continue to show us that age is no limit, and you can be going on and doing these swims regardless of anything really. Whatever you set your mind to, you can do it.
Did you do a relay before you were around Jersey?
I did, but it was only actually a couple of months before. I was looking back at all my swims and the dates that I did things. So I think I did a relay. It was a junior relay, so a group of, I think, maybe 7 or 8 of us, all teenagers, and that was in the July, and then I did my solo in the August.
You're now 34, so maybe you don't remember these things, but any big memories, any big surprises as you started your marathon career?
I think each swim has been a massive learning curve. I was very naive at 15, and I didn't really know what to expect. Although, like I say, you watch these people go and do these swims, but actually being out on the boat and doing it yourself, it's very unknown if you haven't really done it before. But I was quite lucky on my first swim with my crew. So it was a very short weather window, and there was another person that wanted to swim the same day, but luckily the club had 2 boats. So the other person went out with one club boat, and I went with one of the very first club boats that the Jersey Long Distance Swimming Club had. And I had Mick Gilshire, who was sort of Charlie's mate on the boat. He piloted me, and I had Cliff Golding, who was my crew, who I didn't really know at the time, but he was absolutely fantastic on the boat. He just knew what to say, He knew what I needed to hear at a certain point, so he could recognise when I was going through a tough patch. And yeah, we still joke about things that happened on my swim to this day. And Cliff and I have become very good friends. And I actually go running with him a lot as well. So not just swimming, and we chat about swimming all the time. So yeah, it was, I think, a big learning curve from that first round jersey. And then as I progressed and did more swims, it was just tweaking things like nutrition. I think there's a lot more research or a lot more known about nutrition now, and especially with marathon swimmers, endurance. So I've changed how I feed for different swims, and I've worked out what I like, what I perhaps don't like. And yeah, I've learned my body as well, sort of how I should train when I need to take a break or a rest. Yeah, and just lots of things have developed in that space of time. And I think it's phenomenal now, the amount of information and knowledge we have at our fingertips, which we perhaps didn't have when I was back in my teens. So I take each swim as a learning curve and sort of at the end of it reflect and think, right, what was really good? What can I perhaps improve on? What will I take forward? And things like that. So
Jersey had a history of an annual celebration dinner. Um,
yeah.
I had the pleasure of attending one. I think the theme was, 1910 to 1930 swimming costumes. I thought it was quite fetching in my whatever that was at the time. Um, how important were those to you to get that round of applause at age 15, to see your heroes, to help young people? Like, tell us about those.
Yeah, do you know what? Everyone loves the club dinner because it's at the end of the season. It's a chance to dress up. You see everyone throughout the summer in swimming hat, goggles, costumes. So to actually dress up nicely and celebrate it, it's just a fantastic event, and everyone does look forward to it each year. And I think what's really nice about it is that within long distance swimming, open water, we're not just celebrating or congratulating the people that come in first or the fastest swimmers. It's everyone's achievement because everyone is different. So you might have a novice swimmer who their goal was to swim a mile in open water, and perhaps they achieved that, and you can celebrate it with them. So it's not just first, second, third, the big swims. It's juniors, seniors, newcomers, and it's just recognizing people's commitment and their perseverance. And yeah, I think it's great. Like I said, everyone's got their individual milestone that they perhaps want to achieve in a season, and the club, I think, celebrates that really, really well. And also, it's not just the swimmers. You've got the people working behind the scenes. You've got the club committee, who do everything from organising the swims, organising the safety cover, then the people who do actually kayak or perhaps give up their swim to kayak, take the boats out. People who bake the cakes for the end of the swim, they're very important. So it's just celebrating everyone and recognising that we all have to pull together to make the club as successful as it is, and it shows that it works because we are, I think, a very successful club.
If there hadn't been a Jersey long distance swimming club, um, which kind of gave you an outlet for 24 years, what would you have done? Would you have been a motorcycle racer? Would you have been a professional volleyball player? Would you have been the world's experts on Friends reruns? What would you have done, Alice?
Oh, I still watch Friends. I am an expert on that. um, I don't know. I wasn't really a very sporty kid, and I mean, I've gone from one extreme to the other. Very sporty now, but yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, I do a lot of running now, so perhaps I've got into that a bit earlier than I did. Um, it's so difficult to know what might fill that gap. I play water polo, but I think that probably only came about because of swimming and because I was confident in the water. So yeah, I think open water swimming has a lot to answer for in my life. And yeah, I genuinely don't know where I'd be without it.
It was great to see you at the recent IMSHOF induction and award ceremony in Jersey. What give us one or two moments of that that surprised you or made the biggest impression?
I think it was just hearing all the stories from swimmers across the world. You know, you had people from America, Croatia, Mexico. I'm probably forgetting a few other places, but just hearing all those stories, but you could really feel the emotion in the room. And as the honorees were talking and like explaining about their experiences, how they have got to where they are. And quite often it was through friends and families and other swimmers. And it just shows what a strong community we are as the open water swimming world. And I walked away feeling so inspired by what I'd experienced that night. And it's really given me some motivation for this summer and going forward in swimming. And just, yeah, and actually just for the future, you know, knowing that there are so many swims out there and it doesn't have to be, you know, the recognized swims that we all know and do regularly, but you know, go and find something that hasn't been done before, or just because someone's gonna be mad enough to support you.
Alice, thank you very, very much for sharing your background and your experiences. One of the things that we talk about at the Hall of Fame are countries that aren't currently represented in the Hall of Fame. And if you look at some of the countries, there's not a lot of access to water. They don't have organized outdoor swimming clubs. They don't have local swims. And we just talk about how incredibly difficult it must be for a swimmer in one of those countries to 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 participate in the sport and to be great in the sport. And we wanted to contrast it with you that you literally grew up in the arms of one of the greatest swimming clubs in the world, and how much more access you had because of that. So thank you very much. And for people listening, if you're interested in these videos, in a second some contacts will appear. Subscribe, and we have almost 150 other videos that are stored away. So thank you again, Alice.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you so much for talking to me. I've really enjoyed it.